All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to D1 Crashout. Today, I'm talking about breakups. So, little context. I had to wait a little bit to start this video because I recently went through a breakup, like, I think month, maybe? A month and a half before I started the challenge. And frankly, I didn't want it to just be me. I don't want to say trashing on my ex, but, being salty and angry over what needs to happen. Oh, also, I should probably cut that out. I don't know if I'm going to, but that was me uploading one of my videos. But yeah, there is a cycle to it. And even though it is a deeply personal process, it's not just, oh, you go through it and, then it just happens. But no, it comes in stages. And those are honestly the stages of grief. So, first things first, the breakup has to actually happen. I'm not here to tell you how your personal life it goes, but to try to be productive and actually make something useful out of my experience with breakups, which is four, along with many more. I'd like to call them what could have beens, but frankly, I think the more common term is situationship. The bottom line is, for a CS major, I seem to have no problem spending time around women, which is weird, but yes, I have had my fair share of experiences, despite, in my opinion, being young, which I'm not going to say my age, but bottom line is I'm still in college. And it is something to say where whatever happened in the relationship, whether you messed up or your partner messed up, or just that slow burn of life gets in the way of you and your relationship, or maybe you guys aren't interested in each other anymore, or someone isn't interested in someone anymore, and you guys just progress in different ways and you grow apart. And whatever happens, a breakup must occur for you to have a breakup, right? And this is not for middle-aged individuals. If you have like a kid or assets involved, um, sorry, not sorry, but I'm very inexperienced at apartment. It's more just for dealing with the grief in general. And for me, that's always just been okay. It's bad. You're unhappy because you're losing something which is very close to you and hopefully that you invested very sincerely in, right? That's the start. That's the grief. And then you go through a period of sadness of all those I miss yous, right? Of this was something which I liked a lot. And this was something, and you start to reminisce about the good times and all the stuff that you had as a couple. And maybe you are just filled with resentment and anger at the start. You jump straight to phase three and you just immediately become hateful. But that's something that I personally have not had experience with. But it does come into like that troubleshooting phase where you try to make something useful out of the experience, right? Breakups and relationships in general, are you trying something? And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But even if you do not gain anything, like a permanent life partner, you still get the joys or at least the experience of learning what works for you and what doesn't. And that could have been the selection of individual that you chose to be with. That could have been just you as an individual weren't ready for a relationship with the person that you were pining for, which I think is something which really gets undercut in relationships where people like to just blame the other person and get angry. Breakups, they go both ways. Sure, maybe the person just wasn't meant for you and you want to go out and talk with your friends who have similar values to you to reinforce and validate your feelings that you had during the relationship, but I don't know how else to say this. You chose the person, and whether or not they developed in a way that you expected them to or not, every single time you're in a relationship with that person, you continue to choose that person. It's a very intentional effort, right? Relationships, hopefully, are not immediately set in stone, where it's like you finally get to be with a person and then you just stop putting in effort. I mean, if you're that kind of person, you know, not my place to judge, but hopefully in your relationship you actually care about the person and you continue to put in effort even after you've like secured the bag or actually gotten the individual so to speak, like it's a possession and now you just keep the ball, you pass it around a little bit, but it's an active effort, it's ongoing, right? You guys might be working towards a common goal. Marriage for a lot of people is actually becoming less significant because you realize that you don't need a piece of paper in order to tell you that you really like and value the person and you want to build a life together. But yeah, it's something to say where there is that commitment, and that's the only thing that makes you guys special. They say that there's a lot of life partners out there that you could get along with, but that particular person and the proximity and the circumstances that brought you guys together, those memories, that experience is what makes you guys unique. Also, people wake up and they get in new relationships because they're just trying something new, and it doesn't have to work out. A lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves to be in a relationship and be like, okay, I'm dating this person, this is my forever person. Like, yes, you should try if you're in a relationship with someone to actually be in a relationship that lasts. But if it's not working and you don't want to put the effort in, and like, oh, there's all these problems and these non-negotiables and this red flag and I don't know how to deal with that. People put so much pressure on, like, oh wow, this is red flag and you shouldn't believe in that red flag. But you know, that's their choice. And if they want to make it harder on themselves to find a relationship, they should. They should be in a relationship that they genuinely want to be in. Now, if you're like some people out there, not some, a lot of people, actually, I know, that idealize and romanticize a relationship and they haven't been in one and they don't actually know if those things that they're looking for are things that they just like in the movies or the songs, or if that's something that is actually a non-negotiable, a must-have in a relationship, or something that they are deeply attached to. You just don't know until you experience it. I've personally been on the receiving end of someone who loved being in a relationship and the idea and the romance, and then once that settled down and they no longer had the cute dates and the gift ideas and the care, they are just left with that empty feeling of, wow, I checked all the boxes. I no longer had to chase for all the stuff that I wanted, and then I realized that was all I really cared about. I didn't actually value the relationship or the person in and of themselves, which to some might be like a really crummy thing, a really rude thing to say to someone, but that's just where they're at in the moment. And maybe that's just all it is, right? That you should be happy and you should actually want to be in a relationship with someone. Hopefully, you don't want to be in a relationship that you are not wanted in. You should want to be with someone who, actually values and cares about you and wants to put effort into valuing and caring about you. And it can be as simple as that. So that was a lot to say that breakups, they go both ways. Relationships, they go both ways, right? You guys should, invest in each other. No, sorry, Anna. Whoops. And when you take that context and actually look at your breakup, you should be like, okay, this didn't work either because I chose someone who didn't want to work with me, or this was just not the kind of person that I actually thought that I was looking for. And you can change that. Or maybe I wasn't the person that I wanted to be with this type of individual, in which you have to be honest and level with yourself and be like, okay, I'm looking for this kind of person, but maybe I'm not right for this kind of person that I'm looking for. Like, set yourself up for success. And eventually you move into progressive thoughts and the grief goes away and you have to reclaim your love for loving. And I didn't really talk about breakups that much, but that is everything to say. You move on and you try something new. And that doesn't mean you give up on everything and you're like, oh wow, dating and love sucks, I'm never going to try again. You gain so much by trying and experiencing, and it hurts in the moment, and you'll grow from it, and you'll keep on going from it until it works out, or you die. But life's a gamble. Enjoy. Okay. Extra yap. Bye-bye. Okay, so this is the moment where I'm like, wait, how come this isn't advice and this is a crash out? The thing that I wanted to say was, you ever break up with someone, or sorry, you get broken up with? I've only gotten broken up with, FYI, and that says a lot about me. And so they say, we can still be friends after. I'm only friends with one of my exes, and we became friends like 2 years after we were done dating. If I hear you say, oh, let's be friends after, I think that you're just not ready to lose everything all at once, and that we're just not going to be able to be good friends at all, because we're breaking up for a reason, because we weren't compatible as people. I'm friends with my girlfriends. If we can't be friends and lovers, then what makes you think that we can be friends? Because the lovers part is not the problem for me. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but that's my crash out. Like, nah, we're not being friends after. I'm like, we didn't work out for a reason. I just like genuinely don't like don't like you anymore. Okay, bye bye.